Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining this stream. And of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who will join later on in a couple of minutes, or to those members of our community who will watch this video during the day, maybe tomorrow. Today is, of course, 3rd of August. Now it's 11 o'clock, 3 past 11 in the morning, Moscow and Vladikavkaz time, where I am now for summer holiday for a couple of weeks, and it is hot here, by the way, very hot. It's a southern region, of course, North Ossetia, Alania. Vladikavkaz is the capital of the Autonomous Republic of the Russian Federation, and it's tremendously hot out there. As it is all over the southern regions, by the way, nothing extraordinary there. As always, dear friends, I have prepared a news segment, and hopefully you will find it informative and useful. But first of all, today we have a community chat, big community chatter, also fundraising stream. And hopefully we will succeed this week with the fundraising. And for new members of our community, I will explain what this fundraising stream means. Well, point is that just to be a little less stressed for next week, I come up with this idea about months ago that every Sunday I will have a fundraising stream, and the target is to raise about $200, so that if during the next week, weekdays, there will be no donations or very few. Nevertheless, I will at least have something to rely on, right? So it's part of, let's say, insurance policy or something. You understand, dear friends, this is full-time job, and I'm only able to maintain full-time focus on this project only as long as I'm managing to pay the bills. Unfortunately, I'm not a financially rich person. Never was in my life. I had to always work for my bread, and that's a say we have here, by the way, in post-Soviet Union, which means that I'm working person all my life. I'm working to pay the bills, basically. And so that's all it is, dear friends, this fundraising. Last week we failed to reach our target, but maybe today we will succeed in that. Already a good start, dear friends, already good start, because a few minutes before I started the stream, there was a donation through Boosty platform, and this is the donation, by the way, screenshot of it. Barney donated $20 or 1,500 rubles. Thank you very much, Barney, for your donation, for your support, and this is a really good start. I mean, $20 has been raised, 180 to go. Let's see. And so, dear friends, that's being said, as I said, first goes our news segment. This is Sunday stream, so it's not like weekday streams. This stream is mainly about community chat, right? But nevertheless, I'm going to give you a news segment, and then I will get engaged with the chatter. I will just remind you, dear friends, that during the stream, to donate to the project, you can use a PayPal platform, you can use a Boosty platform, as Barney did just a couple of minutes ago. Also, you can use, of course, super chat feature on Rumble. I'm streaming simultaneously on YouTube and Rumble, so you can use a super chat feature on Rumble or become a premium subscriber, and you can also subscribe to my page either on a Patreon or Boosty, where I have extra content on regular basis. Everything counts, by the way, during this fundraising streams. Everything counts. Subscriptions, donations, super chat, everything. All the links you can find there under the video in the description box. And so that's being said, let's start with the news segment now. And traditionally, I'll give you an update from Russian Defense Ministry about the work of air defense systems overnight. RIA Novosti is reporting that air defense systems on duty intercepted 93 Ukrainian drones. Let me give you specifics on that. 60 drones were intercepted over the Black Sea, which is quite unusual stuff. I guess Kyiv regime was and its NATO backers were trying to hit mainly Crimea and Krasnodar region of the Russian Federation. That's why they were directing drones through Black Sea, and 60 of these drones were intercepted. 18 drones were intercepted over Voronezh region, 7 drones over Belgorod region, 3 drones over Bryansk region, 2 drones over the Kursk region, 1 drone each over the Nizhny Novgorod region, Krasnodar region, and Crimea. So seems like a few drones nevertheless did reach Crimea and Krasnodar region, and they were intercepted there. But 60 drones, as I said, over Black Sea. A good work of Russian air defense systems, obviously. And this morning, dear friends, reports were coming in that there was a temporary restrictions introduced at the Pulkovo airport, which is an airport in St. Petersburg, international airport in St. Petersburg. And well, unfortunately, this is not the first time, and I'm afraid not the last time, when Kyiv regime, Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky, with the assistance of its NATO backers, are launching strikes towards St. Petersburg or Moscow. By the way, lately we clearly see activization of this type of strikes on these directions, especially after a news broker, initially in the Western media, that during the last conversation between Trump and Zelensky, US president was kind of demanding from Zelensky to intensify strikes towards Moscow and St. Petersburg. And last month we clearly see significant increase of such attacks, and one may assume that by doing so, NATO countries and their proxy Kyiv regime is hoping to overwhelm kind of Russian air defense systems, or to find out location of the Russian air defense systems, because we all know about the ultimatum that Trump come up with, US president, which will expire now at on 8th of August. And my prediction is, based on my reading of the big picture, that we will see significant increase of hostility towards Russia from NATO member states and their proxy. My expectation is that probably after this ultimatum expires, maybe even a day or two before that, we will see a tremendous increase in long-range strikes deep into Russian territory with the drones and the long-range missiles that NATO most likely already had deployed on the Kyiv-controlled territory. Also, I expect, I think it is highly likely that Western secret services, US, UK, France, Germany, and others, they will use their assets, significant number of their assets, and I'm afraid they do have assets on Russian territory, to conduct sabotage operations to disrupt basically daily life of the people. Their main target will be communications, I think, teleradio communications, internet communication also. I think transport communication will be targeted. I expect also a significant increase in massive cyber attacks on Russia. Day or two before Trump's ultimatum expires, or after that for sure. And hopefully Russian side, the Russian security services are locked and ready to deal with all the possible threats that NATO and their proxy regime will come up with. And yes, one of the ways that they will try to distract Russia is long-range strikes, as I said. And in last month, during the July, we clearly see significant increase already of drone strikes or attempted strikes with the drones towards St. Petersburg and Moscow. Today, there was another attempt. Temporary restrictions were introduced at Pulkovo airport in Leningrad region. And at this point, by the way, all these restrictions have been lifted, and the airport, I believe, works in a usual way. Also, dear friends, RIA Novosti's report that unfortunately a woman died in an attack by Ukrainian drone in Energodar. This happened yesterday. Kyiv regime once again targeted Energodar city and basically Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Report is that a woman was killed in a Ukrainian drone attack on a car in Energodar. They are targeting, basically hunting civilians, by the way, civilian cars. They don't care. They don't care. And the reporter about civilian was killed is coming from mayor of Energodar, Maxim Pushkov. Yet another terrorist attack of Kiev regime. And of course, Western media are never going to report about this, dear friends. Western media are never going to report about these terrorist attacks on Russian Federation that kills many civilians, unfortunately, and they're wounded. Also, we have this report that fire broke out near Zaporozhye nuclear power plant as a result of this Ukrainian drone attacks towards the nuclear power plant. This is not the first time these are happening. Just a week ago, you remember I shared on my Telegram and Twitter page, and during the video update also, footage of fire literally right next to Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and their speculations began initially that Zaporozhye nuclear power plant was actually tremendously damaged as a result of this attack. Some people even began panicking, but then administration of Energodar and ZMPP itself made a statement that the smoke that was visible around ZMPP was actually coming from a fire that from the forestry, nearby forestry, right? That caught fire as a result of Kiev regime's drone strike, and Zaporozhye nuclear power plant was unharmed. There also, dear friends, we have reports that Russian armed forces launched long-range precise strikes on a number of directions during the last night. Already this morning, by the way, reports are coming in about more long-range precise strikes in Kharkiv region, for example. Some explosions were heard this morning, but yesterday there was a tremendous fire in Nikolaev. According to a number of sources, Russian Tu-22 M3 long-range bombers launch missiles towards military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime in Nikolaev area, and videos are circulating on internet about massive fire that erupted on the place that was targeted by Russian forces. Hopefully, Kiev regime lost significant number of military equipment that they received from NATO countries. Also, dear friends, to give you an update on developments on the line of contact. Obviously, initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line, but I will give you some specifics. For example, yesterday, Kiev regime forces tried to conduct a local-scale offensive operation in Kamenskoye area. This is a western part of Zaporozhye region, and this offensive was suicidal, absolutely suicidal, as it is the case usually when it comes to Kiev regime's these counterattacks, and video footage is circulating on internet. I'm not going to share that footage, but in the video, by the way, that was shared by Russian troops, you can see elimination of entire unit of the Kiev regime that was engaged in these attacks. Literally, entire unit was neutralized. Yet another, clearly, that's why I'm saying this is suicidal offensive operations, and I wonder when this forcefully mobilized military personnel of Kiev regime will realize that they've been sacrificed, all of them being sacrificed for geopolitical agenda of the West and for mercantile interests of this terrorist regime of Zelensky. Why they are sacrificing? Why they are allowing to be sacrificed? I just don't get it. This unit could be a little, more clever, contact Russian side and arrange surrender, safe surrender. But instead of that, they went on, right, to attack Russian positions, and entire unit was decimated, basically. Also, Russian armed forces further increasing pressure on Kiev regime's garrison in Pokrovsk Mirnograd agglomeration, and their videos are circulating, by the way, on internet about activity of Russian DRGs inside the Pokrovsk, and more videos have been published about Russian DRG. DRGs are recognition and sabotage units, by the way, that have infiltrated Pokrovsk big time, by the way, and they are now operating all over the city. And from southern side, southern flank of Pokrovsk basically is in under complete Russian control at this point. Settlements like Zverevo, Leon Devichi, Troyander is a death zone for any military personnel of Kiev regime. Even inside the Pokrovsk itself, Kiev regime's units are not really safe to move around because of the activity of the Russian DRGs. And probably many of you have already seen videos, isn't it, when Kiev regime's forces are moving on some vehicle and they are coming, they've been ambushed, and you can, if you understand Russian or Ukrainian, you can hear that they've been surprised. They did not expect to come under fire inside the city itself, even though it is known for more than a week now that Russian DRGs actually are operating in the city and even in the central part of the Pokrovsk. I guess there is significant issues with the communication among Kiev regime's military personnel in Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, and both these cities, by the way, are very close to be in operational encirclement. Some military experts might even argue that they already are in operational encirclement because all the main supply and support lines are under Russian drone control, artillery, fire control, and the drone control. And number of from several main supply support lines, at least a few of them already being cut by Russian forces physically, while Russian troops are controlling the roads. So yes, I can see argument that Pokrovsk, Mirnograd are already in operational encirclement. TASS news agency is also reporting that despite these difficulties that Kiev regime is experiencing in Pokrovsk area, they are transferring troops allegedly from Pokrovsk direction towards the Kharkiv region because of the Russian breakthroughs that are happening in that direction. So Ukrainian Armed Forces commander is transferring reserves from their Pokrovsk direction to the Kharkiv region. This was reported to us by Russian security agencies. Near Volchansk, the Ukrainian Armed Forces command. Volchansk is, of course, northern part of Kharkiv region. City is divided now. Northern part of Volchansk is controlled by Russian forces. Southern part mainly still controlled by Kiev regime's forces, but Russian troops already are crossing, by the way, Volchya River and establishing their presence on the southern part of the city. So near Volchansk, the Ukrainian Armed Forces command is using rear service personnel or reserve personnel from their 65th missile and artillery arsenal in their assaults. Also on analysis of the publications by Ukrainian volunteers showed that the units of 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade have been transferred to Kharkiv region from Pokrovsk area. Earlier, security agencies told us that the elite 1st Separate Territorial Defense Brigade has been also transferred to Volchansk to somehow slow down Russian progress in that direction. According to the source, this unit was initially staffed with their participants in the so-called anti-terrorist operation in Donbass and foreign mercenaries. Subsequently, their surviving neo-Nazi become instructors, and the unit itself was supplemented with forcefully mobilized people that have been kidnapped from the streets of Kiev-controlled cities and towns. So, well, situation based on this report, for example, is clearly critical for Kiev regime's forces in northern parts of Kharkiv region, so much so that they are removing troops from also tremendously important Pokrovsk Mirnograd agglomeration to somehow stabilize situation on northern flank of Kharkiv region. It is so clear, isn't it, that Kiev regime's forces are stretched beyond the limits, and it must be like a matter of a relatively short period of time when we will see collapse of Kiev regime's defense lines all along the front line. It just has to happen, by the way. They cannot sustain this pressure much longer. My personal opinion, even though I'm not military expert, but based on information that we are receiving from open sources, that's the assumption that I'm making. give or take like few months max, and I think we will see beginning of the end of Kiev regime's forces as a more or less capable entity. Let's see. Also, dear friends, Russian armed forces significantly increasing pressure on Kiev regime's formations in Seversk direction from the eastern and northern flanks, and big battles are taking place now in Serebryanka forestry that is tops basically Seversk from the north. You can see on your screen, dear friends, how massive this forestry actually is, right? And the Russian troops are conducting clearing operation of this forestry area. And on your screen, you can see, dear friends, direction of Russian offensive. Eastern part of this forestry already have been cleared from enemy forces. And also Russian troops began now offensive operation inside this forestry, by the way, from northern side to cut basically this forest in two parts. And I guess then eastern part will be cleared first, and then Russian troops will focus on the northern part of this forest. But this is going to be tremendously difficult battle, obviously, especially during the summertime, by the way, when forest is green, right? There is leaves and you can hide. Actually, there is a much better opportunities to hide, not to camouflage yourself. But nevertheless, Russian troops are in a position to conduct these cleaning operations in this forestry, and well, good luck to them. Hopefully, they will succeed this mission with minimal casualties or no casualties at all. I hope so. And as I said, dear friends, Russian troops are literally 1 kilometer away. Forward units of the Russian armed forces are literally 1 kilometer away from Seversk itself. You can see there's a gray zone, which is disputed between the sides, and their forward units in this gray zone already being spotted literally about kilometers away from Seversk. DRGs, by the way, already are operating in Seversk for quite a while. So I will say significant progress of the Russian armed forces in this direction also, but due to extremely difficult terrain, obviously fight in Seversk area is taking quite a long time, because after all, now Russia is, we should always keep in mind that Russia is deploying this mobile defense tactics, right? Current strategy is focused on attrition, which means that main task of Russian troops are to minimize battle capabilities of their enemy forces, right? That's the main focus. And once this will be achieved, once we will see this domino effect in terms of collapse of Kiev regime's defense lines will take effect, then their strategy will change, and their main focus will be liberation of vaster and vaster territories, or let's say large-scale offensive operations. But right now, it's a local or sectoral scale offensive operations with the focus to minimize battle capabilities of enemy forces. And this is one of the main reasons, I will say, that the battle for Seversk direction, for example, is taking quite a long time. It's not about controlling territory at this point. It's about demilitarizing enemy, right? And Russian troops are quite successful in that, based on statements that I personally heard at least a couple of times from, for example, Colonel Douglas McGregor, U.S. Military expert. According to his information, by the way, Kiev regime already lost as a KIA about 1.2 million military personnel, which is tremendous. I mean, this is unbelievable, shocking numbers, isn't it? And this is just KIA. If I understand Colonel McGregor's statement correctly, he was talking about that Kiev regime lost as a KIA, killed in action, 1.2 million. So another at least 2-3 million people were wounded also, right? And that's from where this extreme shortage of manpower is coming from when it comes to Kiev regime's forces. They already have mobilized the majority of the people that they could mobilize, right? And now they are taking people from people that are working in strategical fields, by the way, on Kiev controlled territory, right? But because of their shortages of manpower, they no longer care. They are grabbing literally everybody that they see on the streets, right? And I have shared there are so many videos of that the tremendous crimes being committed, by the way, by these so-called recruiter officers of the Kiev regime, when they are kidnapping people in front of their children, beating them up. There were many instances when people were actually killed during this kidnapping. People were actually killed, and you remember just a week or two ago there was a diplomatic scandal between Hungary, for example, and the Kiev regime, when during one of these forceful mobilization, Kiev regime's criminals, so-called recruitment officers, beat the ethnic Hungarian so much so that person died and left two little kids. And Budapest was outraged with this, and until now relationships between Budapest and Kiev is tense due to this horrific attitude of Kiev regime towards the citizens of this former Soviet Republic, and because of their ill treatment of their ethnic minorities in this quasi-state. And Hungarians are ethnic minority, by the way. They live, hundreds of thousands of Hungarians are living in Transcarpathia region, for example, which most likely will be reclaimed by Hungary in relatively short time. I have no doubts about it. Also, dear friends, let me give you an update on the situation with the 90 Ukrainian citizens that was deported by Russian Federation and sent to Georgia. Well, Georgia is not allowing these people to enter the country, and these deportees were kept on the borderline, and Tbilisi was contacting Kiev to organize transfer of these deportees into Kiev-controlled territory, but Kiev is refusing to cooperate, by the way. Kiev is refusing to take back these people that committed some crimes on Russian territory. That's why they've been deported, right? And obviously, Georgia don't want these criminals, basically, on their territory, right? Why would Georgia want them there? And Kiev is refusing to take them back. And these 90 individuals that did committed their crimes on Russian territory and being deported, but nevertheless, these are human beings, right? And they do have rights. And formally, at least, they are citizens of this so-called Ukraine, and they have every right to go back to their country. And Kiev is refusing to take them back. I mean, you tell me what the hell is wrong with or I will say everything is wrong with the Zelensky regime, by the way. So therefore, it's not even makes any sense nowadays to try to understand their thought process that is taking place in Zelensky's head or in the brains of any other criminal from that regime, right? It's their citizens, and they are refusing to take them back for a number of weeks now. What the hell, man? And what should Georgia do? I mean, eventually, probably Georgian leadership will have not a leadership. This is not a topic that a president of Georgia should get engaged with, right? But I guess eventually Georgian humanitarian agencies and Georgian border guards and police security services will have no option but to take them in and give them some shelter for the time being until Kiev regime will agree to take back their own citizens. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. If Georgia will refuse to let them in, and as I said, they are staying on the border right now, right? They passed Russian border, passed neutral territory, and they are now in Georgian side of their border crossing, right? According, as far as I understand. And if Georgia will refuse to take them in, and if they will send them back to Russian side, then maybe Russian humanitarian agencies, Russian border guards, and so on, security services will have no option to actually, give them some shelter, right, and keep them there, isolated from the society, so that they would not harm nobody, right? Because yet again, they committed some crimes maybe some petty crimes, right? That's why they were deported and not jailed, by the way. But nevertheless, right? And maybe then Russia will have to keep them somewhere. I don't know, man. This is crazy story, right? This is crazy story. Once again, demonstration that Kiev regime has no care about citizens of that quasi republic, by the way. Otherwise, this topic should not be issue whatsoever, right? Kiev should immediately issue documents for these people and take them back. But Kiev issue is that Kiev is not not transferring documents for these people to Georgian authorities, right? And Georgian law enforcement agencies cannot do nothing, right? Because they cannot prove, they have no official documents that this person is actually what he says he is, right? It is necessary Kiev regime to get involved and provide documents and to confirm that, yes, to confirm identities of these people. But Zelensky's office, they don't care, man. They just don't care. Nevertheless, let's continue. RT is reporting that, well, what do care? What we can say that, Kiev regime definitely cares about money, right? They don't care about people, but they do care about money, and they have allies all over the collective West countries, or the masters, by the way, I should say. And they're masters of this regime that are tremendously corrupt, right? And making tremendous profits while constantly allocating certain, funds for prolongation of this war. Well, they are considering now, proposing basically $55 billion Ukraine aid bill in U.S. Senate. I reported about it yesterday, but I think it's worth to repeat because, yet again, this is money of U.S. taxpayers, by the way. I mean, can you imagine how much good could be done for U.S. citizens, by the way, if this 55 billion was invested in, let's say, infrastructure projects, right? Or housing, social housing to be built. 55 billion is a lot of money, for God's sake, right? But, well, U.S. senators don't care about that. They are proposing this bill, and if adopted, and most likely will be adopted, they're gonna receive back as a corrupt regime at least a couple of billions from this 55, right? So they're gonna get even more filthy rich, and while they're engaged in this criminal activity, and U.S. society is not keeping them in check, then why would they stop? You tell me, why would they stop? They would not, right? So yes, group of U.S. senators have introduced a bill to allocate $54.6 billion in aid to Ukraine over the 2026-2027 fiscal year, and most likely they're gonna succeed, with this allocation. I remind you, dear friends, that Kiev regime, just for military purposes, is demanding from the West $120 billion. That's just for military purposes, and for other spendings, they are also demanding another 60 billion on top of that 120. So, I mean, appetite of that regime is tremendous, right? They want and expect from the Western taxpayers 180 billion, by the way, for next year alone. For next year alone, by the way. And I'm afraid they're going to get that money. And process is already underway, by the way. I mean, US is planning to allocate 54 billion. Rest probably comes from EU member states. Also, dear friends, interesting news that Zelensky scrambles after anti-corruption bodies arrest his own MP. So, Ukrainian National Anti-Corruption Bureau, the so-called NABU, which is a CIA project, by the way, controlled by CIA and MI6 100%. This NABU and SAPO, so-called anti-corruption agencies, around which there was a scandal in Ukraine, right? And the protests erupted and all that kind of stuff that I reported about during the previous days. Well, they are now on revenge spree, by the way. They are not happy, and they're going to revenge for attack that Zelensky launched on them, right? And, well, there are already first casualties in this revenge actions of the NABU, right? So Ukrainian National Anti-Corruption Bureau, NABU, has arrested the servant of the people. This is Zelensky's party, by the way. That's how they call it, servants of the people. So MP from this party, member of the parliament, Alexei Kuznetsov, was arrested on bribery charges tied to a major corruption scheme involving drone and electronic warfare procurements for the military. Also detained officials from local and the city military administrations and the National Guard officers. Up to 30% of inflated contract sums were allegedly kicked back to their officials. That's the scheme they use, by the way. They are signing up contracts, inflating the price tags, right? Signing up contracts, allocating money, and some 20-30% is going back to these criminal, corrupt officials as a kickback. And from this money, I guess significant part, or maybe on top of that, significant part is going also in pockets of Western masters of these corrupt officials, right? In Kiev, in US, in Europe, because they are allocating these hundreds of billions of dollars for Kiev regime for reason, right? They are getting filthy rich, by the way, and they want kickback also, and they are receiving that. So this conflict inside the Kiev regime is continued, dear friends, and I said already quite a few times that Zelensky is finished. Zelensky is finished. This internal confrontation, this escalation will not stop until Zelensky is not removed from their office. And I remind you, dear friends, that about a week ago, Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation reported that there was a meeting, secret meeting between representatives of Washington and London with their former current Ukrainian so-called ambassador to UK, Valery Zaluzhny, also with the head of Zelensky's office, Yermak, and with the head of main intelligence directorate, Kirill Budanov. All of them are terrorists, by the way, right? And allegedly, during this meeting that take place in Alps, somewhere in Europe, in European mountains, in some resort, I guess, agreement allegedly was reached on removal of Zelensky. And that Zelensky to be replaced by Zaluzhny, as it was predicted by me and by many other people, by the way, very long time ago. That's exactly what's going to happen, that Zaluzhny going to replace Zelensky, right? So if agreement is already being reached, then obviously this internal escalation in Kiev control territory will not stop, only further escalate, right? And it will end eventually with the removal of Zelensky from office. Either he will resign and run away from Kiev control territory, or he will be removed from office by force, as it was, for example, stated in a latest article of Seymour Hersh, for example, U.S. award-winning journalist, who said that based on, according to his sources, Zelensky is basically finished, and the military option is also considered by Washington and London, if necessary, to remove Zelensky, right? So this operation not gonna stop, by the way, not gonna stop for sure. And well, let me just remind you before I continue, dear friends, that this is not just a regular news segment or news update, but also community chat, big Sunday community chat, and fundraising stream. And dear friends, if you want to participate in this fundraise, you can do it through several means. You can donate through PayPal or Boosty platforms. You can subscribe to my Patreon and Boosty pages, because everything counts, by the way, obviously, as a help and supporter. You can use super chat feature on Rumble, or become a premium subscriber on Rumble too. So there are some options. All the links, by the way, are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. Oh, there was a donation on the PayPal, by the way, right now, from Nathan. Thank you very much, Nathan, for your donation, $20 donation, dear friends, through PayPal platform. Hopefully this helps reach their target level. This is a comment from Nathan, and of course helps, Nathan. Thank you very much. This is already 40, right? Barney donated before stream started. $20, Nathan donated, and Anya, my wife, is telling me that there was also another donation. Julie, thank you very much for your $20 donation. Truly grateful. And comment is a gifter. Thank you very much, Julie, for your support. So we reached $60, right, already. So thank you all, dear friends. Thank you all. It seems like, maybe this time we will manage to reach this target. Hopefully we will. And it will make me a little less stressed, by the way, during the next week works, because this is life, isn't it? It's one day you might have some donations, next day you don't, and it does makes you, when you are relying completely on support of community, and that's how these independent channels work, by the way, right? If I was a financially rich person, I would not even ask for no donations, obviously. But when I'm fully rely on community support, then every day counts, right? Every day counts. And this idea of fundraising just makes my life a little less stressful. That's what it is. For example, this week, like 6 days have already passed, right? And 3 days I did had donations, 3 days I did not, right? But these community chats and fundraisings definitely help to balance that stuff. Okay, dear friends, let's continue with more news. And I was here, right? Well, Witkov, special envoy, by the way, of U.S. president, will visit allegedly Moscow today. We had a video of U.S. ambassador in NATO, I believe, who made this announcement. Let's listen to him.
The United States leaning in, selling our weapons to our NATO allies, that will lead the Russians back to the negotiating table and actually get to a ceasefire here. I know Steve Witkoff, who's the special envoy for President Trump, is in Moscow this weekend, and I'm hoping he can have a breakthrough.
And you see this as a financial opportunity?
So, well, I don't know what kind of breakthrough they are expecting in Washington. Russian side was very clear, isn't it? What is Moscow's position? And the Russian president, day before yesterday, during the meeting with his Belarusian colleague Lukashenko, once again make it clear that Russian stance have not changed since the 2023. That was, isn't it, when president was having a meeting with the leadership of, since the 2022 basically, but on 2023 or 2024, that was, Russian president had a meeting with the foreign leadership of foreign ministry, and during that meeting, Russian president went into specifics, right? What has to be done to achieve lasting peace. And to resolve basically this Ukrainian crisis. And 2 days ago, during this meeting with Lukashenko, Russian president once again confirmed that no changes in the Russian position, no changes, right? Russian side was clear, and it is clear, right? And it's up to collective West. Do they will agree to face the reality, objective reality, and de-escalate or not, right? And so, therefore, I don't really understand what kind of breakthrough U.S. is expecting, or U.S. leadership is expecting, or U.S. ambassador into NATO. I personally don't even think it worth for Russian president to waste time meeting with Witkov. I guess one of the deputies of foreign ministry could meet him and exchange opinions, because I mean, there was already like 3 meetings between Witkov and the Russian president, right? And did we achieve any progress? No, actually, situation has deteriorated. And now Trump is acting, and Trump makes statements that even Biden was kind of refusing to, say or do. Trump is now talking deployment of nuclear submarines and threatens Russia with nuclear war. Even Biden did not go that far, right? So therefore, my hope is that Russian president will waste no time meeting with Witkoff. This is not his level, by the way. Let's be real here. Who the hell is Witkoff, by the way? Nobody, right? Nobody. Then just because he's friends with Trump and he was appointed as a special envoy, Russian president should not pay too much attention to him. Deputy of the Russian foreign minister or assistant of a deputy of the Russian foreign minister can actually spare a minute or two to have an exchange of opinions with Witkoff, and that's it, man. And then he can F off from Russia. Because I said many times before, by the way, that these talks will reach no progress. I'm not against talks, but when you know perfectly well that US is using diplomacy as a means of deception, and when you have factual evidences of that, right? It's not just some theory, but we have factual evidences, because we all remember Trump himself and Witkoff also, and a number of others from Trump's administration were engaged in direct talks, or let's say indirect talks, but they were engaged in talks with mediation of Oman, right, with Iran. And exactly same time, US was engaged with Israel in the planning of military, this criminal terrorist attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, Iran's scientists, political and military leadership. So US president himself was engaged in a deception operation. Nothing to be said about his team members, right? And so me personally, 100% convinced, 110%, by the way, million% convinced that Witkoff and all this attempt from Washington to do some talks with Russia, I'm 100% convinced this is also a deception operation. Trump cannot be trusted. Nobody from his team can be trusted ever, right? They already proved that. And therefore, I hope Russian president will waste no even a second to meet this freaking idiot, Witkoff. And, I hope he will be ignored completely, as it should be done, by the way. This is nobody. They cannot be trusted, right? I'm not against talks, but when talks are meaningful. But when you know that your opponent's gonna lie to you, right, in face, that's what they do constantly, and you have factual evidences that they are engaged in deception, then why on earth are you gonna waste time talking with them? I mean, is there any point in that? I don't think so, right? Let's be real, man. Let's do real politics. We don't need these games here, because situation is deteriorating literally on a daily basis. So I don't think there is a time for these political games, right? I think assistant of one of the deputies of the Russian foreign minister is a high enough level to meet with Witkoff and to exchange some anecdotes between each other, because they cannot be serious talks right now between US leadership and Russian leadership, because Western ruling class, once again, is not ready to acknowledge objective reality and to be gone through the escalation. Exactly opposite is expected, and to be expected, by the way. Once I already said, once this Trump's ultimatum, which is definitely part of the Western game, right? This ultimatum stuff. After that ultimatum will expire, maybe even a day or two before ultimatum will expire, we will see most likely tremendous escalation, military escalation, sabotage activities and so on from the West and their proxy regime, right? So therefore, this visit of Witkoff is literally nothing. Yet another attempt of Washington to maybe catch Russia off guard from whatever hostile plans they have. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, it's Russian president should not waste time and should not even think for a second, in my personal opinion, that either Trump or anybody from his administration can be trusted. They cannot be trusted, unfortunately. I'm not against dialogue, but I want dialogue when it's meaningful. I don't want talks just for sake of talks, man. It's nonsense, right? Nevertheless, during the day, probably we will receive information. And I'm afraid, dear friends, the Russian president gonna meet with Witkoff again. I'm afraid that's what's gonna happen, man. Russian president probably will have a meeting with Witkov, which is yet again waste of time and waste of time. But it is what it is, man. Meanwhile, when it comes to Trump's team, Trump's administration, there are more and more divisions inside this so-called team, by the way. And Wall Street Journal, I guess, under orders of deep state, is targeting Pat Hexet. They come up with some hit piece, maybe because Hexet is considering to leave a Pentagon, because I don't think he exactly on the same page with the Trump, even though he retweeted recent crazy post of Trump on True Social about deployment of nukes and nuclear submarines and that kind of nonsense, threatening Russia. And Hexet actually shared that post, by the way. I mean, what the hell, man? You should know better, right? But anyways, maybe because there was a report that Hexet wants to leave Pentagon and go into politics, participate in a governor's election or something in whatever state in US. Maybe either deep state or even White House is now attacking him personally, and that's why Wall Street Journal come up with this hit piece. It's a possibility because, after all, Pat Hexet, by the way, is a battle-hardened military. He is not a high-level of officer, right? He is just a soldier. He is just a soldier, by the way, but someone who actually served there in U.S. forever wars, and I think he actually was convinced that new administration will be focused on America first ideas, right? I think Hexet and a number of other people in administration that are still there were probably truly believing that they're going to be focused on America first. And once Hexet realized that, no, man, this is all BS, right? We all been BS'd by Trump and some others that actually are controlling Trump. And White House not going to be focused on America first. They're going to be focused on whatever agenda Israel has, whatever agenda globalists have, neocons and so on. And that's why maybe Hexet wants to distance himself, right, from this administration. And they're not going to allow him this. I think they're going to destroy his career, by the way, if he will. And that's these hit pieces are coming from. If he truly dares to resign from a position of head of defense secretary, this step might be taken by Trump as a hostile act against him, and seems like people that are in control of Trump are controlling also everything else in US, including media, and they have already ordered their attacks on Hexet. So Hexet's string of missteps casts doubts inside their Pentagon. Wall Street Journal is reporting, so they are now attacking his personality, right? That inside the Pentagon, people are not happy with their Hexet, right? That they're going to destroy, they're going to conduct character killing, right, of the Hexet. Officials question his ability to run an entity with 3.4 million employees and $1 trillion budget. Internal feuds signal that fiasco and billions lost in the defense spending added fuel to the fire, according to Wall Street Journal. So, Hexet is done, by the way. I think he has very little chances to leave Pentagon unscathed, right? And to then have some chances to run for politics. Trump and his masters of the Trump, being Israeli Secret Services and CIA and Deep State, they're going to destroy Hexet, by the way. They're going to destroy everybody that would dare to go against their line, right? And they know it, by the way. They know it. Take a look at the leadership of FBI in US, how they were talking and acting before they were appointed. Kash Patel and Bongino, whatever his name is, how they were acting before they were appointed as a head and deputy head of FBI, and how they are talking and operating now. I mean, like, very different people, right? Very different people from different universes, because they realize that they go out of line and they're going to be smashed, by the way, with no mercy. And it is highly likely that Pet Hexed going to experience that firsthand. And shortly. Let's see. RT is also reporting, meanwhile, that, Musk went on to claim that major US Democrats are also in Epstein documents. And of course they are, by the way. I don't think we need Elon Musk to confirm or deny anything in regards to this Epstein files. Of course, Democrats, high-ranking, not just high-ranking Democrat bureaucrats, by the way, or powerful clans, members of the Democrats, but also Republicans, also financiers in US, by the way, right? Rich and powerful people there. All of them being, or majority of them being blackmailed, by the way, right? By Israeli Secret Services through this Epstein operation. And God knows how many other operations Israeli Mossad was running, by the way, right? To keep her in check, by the way, to control through blackmail U.S. Elites, political, financial, and so on, military elites, and so on, right? We only know about Epstein operation that is linked to Mossad, right? According to many statements of public figures in US that probably know, right, what the hell was going on there. But who knows how many other operations Mossad was conducting to compromise and then to control elites in US, and also elites, so-called elites in Europe, by the way. Why only US? Europe too. After all, that so-called British prince or something, he is in Epstein files, right? So, yes, I don't think we need Elon Musk to understand that Israeli Secret Services and Zionists, by the way, they are controlling Western world effectively. They are controlling Western world. They're 100% controlling US, by the way, in such a scale that, take a look at the Trump, by the way. It's a mockery of himself, right? Trump today is a mockery of himself, like even 3-4 months ago, when he was already in office. Nothing to be said about her during the election campaign. Am I correct? So, I mean, what can I say, man? Israeli Secret Services did manage to conduct these operations for decades and decades and decades to, yet again, compromise and then control elites in US, in North America, in Europe, just about everywhere they could, but they were especially focused on US for understandable reason, because US is our main, is and was and will be main enforcer in hands of Israeli Secret Services, in hands of Zionists, in hands of their ally globalists, right? And so, yes, by the way, they control it. They control it. Let's go through details anyways. So senior members of the US Democratic Party and their benefactors are listed in Epstein documents. Ex-owner Elon Musk has claimed. On Friday, Bloomberg reported that the FBI agents reviving their files on the convicted sex offender and the financier Jeffrey Epstein had identified numerous references to US President Donald Trump, as well as dozens of other high-profile figures. The agency stressed that the appearance of any name is not evidence of a crime or even suggestion of wrongdoing. Yeah, I mean, just randomly, these people appear in that documents randomly. They have nothing to do with no crimes, right? That Epstein and all that operation was all about, right? Of course. I mean, these people are shameless, by the way. FBI leadership, U.S. leadership in general, by the way, are totally shameless, a scum of humanity, and this is a tradition in U.S. since the JFK, I will say, right? Since the Israeli Secret Services and the CIA killed Kennedy, U.S. is never had even a chance, by the way, right, to be independent and to have a decent political elites. They did not even have the chance, right? And on this matter, dear friends, let me give you this short video from. I mean, she may not be like expert in everything, understandably so, but nevertheless, she has some interesting takes. I'm talking about Candace Owens, by the way. Let's listen what she has to say.
Controlling our government. So no, the answer is no. Trump is powerless against him. We haven't had, I don't think we've been a sovereign nation since they shot JFK. And when I say they, it's like people online say, what do you mean by they? I'm talking about Israel. I don't want you guys to read in between. I'm talking about Israel. So let's stop making that a taboo subject because they've gone mask down. Everything they're doing is demonic. I want nothing to do with it. I will never support Israel into the future after what they've done to these children. The starvation campaign. I don't care. I do not support Israel. And I don't think that Jewish Americans should support Israel. And I hope that they're now having those conversations. I see many of them recognizing that they have been propagandized into believing they have to support this demonic state. Allowing your identity to shape your morality is problematic. Okay, and Israel, in and of itself, is.
What a great point that she's making, isn't it? That allowing your identity to influence your moral is a problematic. You have to be a moral person, no matter what, right? Of course, but seems like not everybody everywhere thinks that way.
Nation. I will never support Israel. Just look at the footage of what they are doing. They're playing Hunger Games and throwing food at them and then killing people and seeing who survives. I mean, it's just at your fingertips. You have to take a look at what Israel is doing.
Yet again, by the way, maybe Candace Owens is not an expert in Middle East, writer, and not an expert when it comes to some security services and so on, but she's a brave woman. She's a very brave woman, and very often I have seen her clips when she does makes great points, by the way, right? And she's not afraid to say what she thinks. This is something that is become very rare nowadays, isn't it? Because almost everybody tries to play nicer, to be extra politically correct, right? Not to offend this group of people and that group of people. And why they are trying this hard to kind of please everybody, they are losing substance, right, of their reporting or whatever ideas they are sharing. Because you have to be, you have to be direct. You have to say what you think. You have to say what you see, right? And I appreciate when I see people that are not afraid, by the way, to be straight forward, right? It takes courage, man, and I applaud when I see them. So yes, I don't think we need necessarily Elon Musk to know that political class in US is compromised and controlled by Israeli Secret Services, by the way, and their allies. Zionists, obviously, neocons, deep state, we can call it US intelligence services. They are all one big criminal gang, by the way, right? And also globalists. We should not forget globalists, where main driving force is European aristocracies, led by British aristocracy, by the way. That's how it is, right? Nevertheless, what else RT is reporting here on this matter? Responding to the report on X, user suggested that when a Democrat become president, they'll unredact these names. Musk, however, did not agree, saying they won't because their major dams and their donors are on this list too. He did not offer any evidence or elaborate, and this is too bad, really. I mean, Musk said about Trump that he is on Epstein files, then he shamefully, I would say, delayed that comment. He should not, either he should not write that comment if he was lying, or if he was not lying, and I think he was not lying, then he should not delay that comment. But then he went to say the same about Steve Bannon, right? One of the ideological leaders of the MAGA movement. They have a very difficult relationships. I mean, Steve Bannon and Elon Musk, right? They have kind of war between each other. And then Musk went to claim about many others, right? That they are on Epstein files. So you know what? If you have Epstein files on your hand, you can organize somehow that certain groups will publish. You don't have to be directly linked to that, but just publish it. Let the people know, right? Just let the people know what you are speculating there, why you are speculating. Just through fourth parties, published whatever information you have, right? And he might have, by the way, copies of their FBI documents, right? Because I don't think it's too stretch to say that maybe some FBI agents decided to make some good buck, or maybe some FBI agents decided to serve the society, make the copies of the documents, and then transfer the documents to certain people that might actually dare to publish it or to organize safe publishing, right? Because you understand, people that are named mentioned in that dossier are extremely powerful, and they might kill literally anybody in attempt to hide this information, right? So yes, they all are corrupt, by the way. I mean, Western ruling class is a scum of humanity. What can I say? All of it. Western ruling class is compromised elements, and the scum of humanity. They don't represent people of the collective West. That's how it is. And I think majority of our community will agree with me on that. Western so-called elites do not represent interests of the Western societies, right? And they are controlled not by their societies, who they should serve, but they are controlled by some special groups of interests, let's say that way, being Israeli secret services, Zionists, globalists, neocons, or whomever. They are definitely not serving the people. That's for sure. Let's continue, dear friends, with some more news. And well, I want to share with you this quite interesting information that I see on DD Geopolitics Telegram channel, dear friends. And report is the Chinese J-20 stealth fighters allegedly slipped through Tsushima Strait unnoticed. So the Chinese fifth generation J-20 stealth fighters quietly flew through Tsushima Strait, one of Asia's most heavily monitored checkpoints, without detection or acknowledgement. Neither Japan nor South Korea reported their passage, and well, this is a big deal in my opinion, because if true, if this report is correct, then that means that stealth capabilities of J-20s are actually higher than I was expecting, for example, or I guess many others, because as DDJ Politics highlights, this Tsushima Strait is one of their most heavily monitored area, right, with all sorts of radars and so on. And if they were unable to detect J-20s, then, well, this is a big deal. This is a big deal, by the way. I guess J-20s stealth capabilities are somewhere on a level of potentially F-22, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you tell me what you make of this news, but Chinese are very good when it comes to industrial espionage, right? And maybe they have all the documents how to build, actually, what materials they have to use, what paint they have to use. Maybe they have had already gained access to all the technical stuff that was used to build F-22, for example, or F-35 for that matter. And if so, then they would not struggle to actually use this knowledge in this J-20 project or next projects of stealth fighters that they are working on, J-35, for example, or J-31, right? Interesting news, sir. I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie, dear friends. I was surprised that J-20 allegedly is that stealthy. That's stealthy, you know. Anyways, when it comes to 5th gen fighter jets, I think it's only a matter of time, and scientists will manage to achieve miniaturization of the meter long wave radars, or long wave radars, let's say. And once this is done, once these radars are miniaturized so much so that they can be fit in a fighter jet, I guess that will be end of 5th generation fighter jets, because long-range radars, by the way, long-wave radars can detect these planes. I mean, they don't care. They can detect any plane, right? Anything, basically. It's a short-wave radars that are struggling with stealth fighters, but not long-wave radars. And once you have achieved miniaturization, once you put this long-wave radar into fighter jet, then all you need is a programming, right? So that the pilot will have a tracking ability and firing solution. And that's it, man. 5th gen fighter jets are done at that point. And I think we are moving in that direction, by the way. This stealth era has lasted for how long now? Like 3-4 decades, when all the major producers were focused. I mean, stealth, but it's not gonna last. It's not gonna last, by the way. I think in next decade also we will see emergence of these new radars that will make stealth capability itself obsolete. Anyways, let's continue. We have this report, by the way, from TASS News Agency that Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas gave instructions to immediately draft an action plan on implementing their decisions of their high-level U.S. conference on the Palestine settlements. Palestinian Foreign Minister Wessam Akshabekian was quoted as saying by the WAFA news agency. She described the high-level international conference on a two-state solution held in New York as politically meaningful and reflective of a growing international alignment on the necessary of realizing the two-state solution. In her words, Palestinian Foreign Ministry will lead the preparations of a comprehensive strategy to apply the conference's recommendations on the ground. And UN, by the way, UN. I don't want to be too pessimistic, by the way, but I have no faith in UN. I don't know about you, but I just have no faith in UN, by the way. It's a joke, right? UN is a joke. Maybe we don't have any better platform right now. World community, but nevertheless, US is still a joke, right? And to have a optimistical view that anything can come out, anything positive can come out of UN conference. I mean, this is just not serious, by the way. And that's why I said in my previous updates that to stop Israel from genociding Palestinian people, to basically stop fascist regime of Israel, world community, especially outside of the collective West, although a number of countries from the collective West might actually join. So multipolar world has to get together outside of UN, because UN is a joke, by the way. US can veto any decision, right? They can veto any decision. If US if US deep state intelligence services and their allies in Israel, Israeli secret services and Zionists want to, European regimes will also, like France and UK, will also veto any decision in UN, right? So therefore, such a meeting has to take place outside of UN, of the multipolar world, right? And they have to issue ultimatum, let's say 24-hour ultimatum. 24-hour ultimatum is long enough, I think, Israeli regime to agree on its demilitarization, denazification, withdrawal of forces from occupied territory, withdrawal of settlers from occupying territories, and to recognize Palestinian state, right, in the borders of 1948, with Jerusalem as a capital, right, part of Jerusalem, by the way, as a capital, as it was agreed upon when Israel was actually created. So 24-hour ultimatum, by the way, and then Israel obviously have to pay compensations for everybody who fascist Israel harmed for many, many decades, right? They have to pay compensations to everybody, no matter how long it will take, 10, 20, 30, 50 years. But Israel have to pay back, right? Compensations to everybody, as Nazi Germany did. So world community have to get together outside of UN, because UN is a useless stuff, issue the ultimatum to Israeli Nazi regime, fascist regime. If they agree on ultimatum, okay, of course, political solution is always better than military one. But if Israeli fascist regime will disagree or ignore, then multipolar world should take action and demilitarize. Should take military action, by the way, I'm talking about, right? And demilitarize and denazify Israel. That's the only way Israel can survive, by the way, as a state. If Israel is denazified, demilitarized, and if Israel is back into borders of 1948. That's the only way Israel might actually survive in that region. That's the only chance, right? They have to be demilitarized, denazified, they have to withdraw from everywhere, right, that they have occupied, and they have to pay compensations to everyone they harm, right? That's how it's going to be. And if this world worth anything, right, if modern world worth anything and deserves any respect, then it should be capable of doing this, right? If not, then I said many times, our grandkids and their grandkids going to be ashamed of our generation, by the way. That's how it's going to be. So, I mean, yes, there are statements from Palestine, but it will be better if world community will realize that it's no time for this freaking useless conferences on a UN basis. UN is a useless institution, right? Get together outside of US, create a platform, send your delegations, I don't know, in any country in this world, by the way, outside of the collective West, any country, right? And come up with the ultimatum. If they will listen, listen. If not, then take action and do whatever is necessary to do to stop this genocide and to demilitarize and denazify this fascist entity that modern Israel is. That's what has to be done. And when I said UN is a useless institution, by the way, I think UN itself will agree with me, because look at this report here, that nobody actually reads UN reports because nobody cares. And why nobody cares? Because UN is a useless institution, unfortunately. Either UN has to undergo like tremendous upgrade to become relevant again, or this institution has to be dissolved whatsoever, because what is the point to keep it? I don't know. When UN itself is saying that nobody reads their freaking reports. So the United Nations produces over 1,000 reports a year, but most are barely read, according to the organization's own study into how to make its work more impactful and coherent. The revelation comes as the UN marks its 80th anniversary aimed at deepening identity crisis, and well, nothing gonna save UN, by the way, I can tell you that right now. When the UN become fully controlled, by the way, or almost completely controlled by US Secret Services, British Secret Services, and Israeli Secret Services. That day, idea of UN has died. That's it, right? That's it, man. And I don't think anything can save this nonsensical garbage that UN has become, by the way. Literally garbage, right? Something new has to be built, something new, or I don't know, maybe some miracle will happen and UN will undergo such a tremendous upgrade that it will actually regain some meaning, some relevance. But is it realistic even? Don't think so. I don't know. And when it comes to atrocities of Israel, by the way, those fascists that are leading that country are denying, of course, that they are using starvation as a weapon to kill as many Palestinians as they possibly can. But they do use starvation, and just look at this heartbreaking video about it. Kid is passing out from hunger.
طب انت ليش نايمة يا عمو؟ ايش؟ نعسانة؟ طب نام عند دمك في البيت.
Do you read subtitles, by the way? She's talking about that she's hungry. There is no food. She can't. I mean, it's heartbreaking, man.
ايش عندكم اكل؟ ايش عم تكتلك؟
ريح دور من عند أي حدا.
سامة.
ريح دور من عند أي حدا.
بابا بيشتغل؟
لا بنتصاب. أنا كبير شغل.
So she's the oldest in the family, and she had to go out to find some food. And these Israeli fascists, by the way, are conducting sort of sniping competitions, killing kids included, by the way, sniping them. And Western doctors, by the way, are reporting about it, that see these killed and wounded children that was targeted by snipers, Israeli snipers. Nothing to be said about what Israeli fascists doing to adults, by the way. So I'm telling you, if either this world has to be erased from this planet of the earth, by the way, because we all are freaking despicable individuals, right? Because we are allowing these atrocities to happen, or if we as a human civilization are worthy, then we have to do something. And there is no freaking time to waste it on some UN platforms and some nonsense. Just countries outside of collective West, maybe some countries from collective West will join. Just get together, issue freaking ultimatum to these fascists. If they will agree to denazify themselves, demilitarize, okay, and to do whatever is necessary to do, okay. Political solution better than military option. But if they will disagree, just take action, by the way. This world can take action to demilitarize and denazify Israel. These fascists, by the way, right? And this has to be done. Why we are talking about this for so long, man? What is wrong with us? I don't know, man. I guess our generation of people, I mean, modern human society is just, it's painful to say, but we are just garbage, man. That's what we are. As a human civilization, we are garbage, man. We are not worthy. We don't deserve to exist, man. If we are allowing these atrocities to happen, we are just fucking garbage societies, world community, or whatever, man. Sorry, but that's what we are, man. And our grandkids and their grandkids will rightfully be ashamed of us. They have every reason for that, right? Tens of thousands of kids being killed by these Israeli fascists, and all this so-called world community is doing is talking about it instead of doing something about it. No, man, modern human society does not deserve to exist, man. In my personal opinion, we are just a, sorry, dear friends, but just imagine you are and your kids are in such situation, and all you hear from the so-called world communities is talk and talk and talk, and this continues and continues and continues, and oh man, we are not worthy, man, as a human society, modern human society, unfortunately. There are obviously among us there are great people, obviously great people, very many great people, but in general, this world community that we all are part of is like, garbage, I will say. That's it, man. I don't think my grandfather fought in the Second World War to defeat Nazis so that after 80 years, Israeli fascists will do these atrocities, man. I mean, generation of our grandfather are looking at us and are probably ashamed of us already, man, big time. As they should, man. Modern human civilization is a shameful entity. That's what it is. Even though among human society, of course, there are great deal of wonderful people that do whatever they can, right, to actually resolve their crisis and devastating situations, as not just in Palestine but all over the world. But unfortunately, those people are just far fewer than rest, right, and not really that powerful to actually influence the situation big time. But TASS news agency is reporting that Syrian transitional government troops repel Kurdish attack near the Aleppo. So in northern Syria, fight resumed between Damascus regime forces and Kurdish forces, and I don't think there will be ever true reconciliation of these parts. Kurdish forces, I don't think, will ever trust either Damascus regime or the Turkey to actually disarm themselves, right? So I don't really see any reason to believe that Syria as a state will survive in the long run. Most likely, Syria will undergo full-scale disintegration. By the way, it seems absolutely inevitable to me, and this kind of internal fights gonna continue until full-scale disintegration, and maybe after that also these new entities will continue to fight each other, right? Also, dear friends, a report from Zlya newspaper that head of Yekaterinburg Azerbaijani diaspora detained in Moscow. So Russian law enforcement agencies continue to work to neutralize these ethnic criminal groups, including ethnic Azerbaijani criminal groups that are operating in Yekaterinburg, and not just in Yekaterinburg, right? And you might ask her, what about relationships between Baku and Moscow? Is there any progress there? No, there is no progress, or only escalation, by the way. And I said before that, in my personal opinion, Aliyev, his regime, they crossed the line of no return. So until Aliyev and his clan is in power in Azerbaijan, I don't think we will see any rapprochement between Moscow and Baku. Let's say that way. Personal opinion, I don't know, you might disagree with me on that. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, Krashenikov volcano, by the way, has erupted in Russia's far east in Kamchatka region, and this happened first time in 600 years. Just a few days after that tremendous earthquake that happened not far away from Kamchatka, that was 8.8 magnitude, isn't it? That caused tsunami warnings all over the Pacific. And there are tsunami warnings today too, by the way, because there was a more than 6-point magnitude earthquake near Kuril Islands, right? And there was also, in addition, some 70 earthquakes, big and small earthquakes, by the way, in Kamchatka region in past 24 hours alone. And there, if you add on top of that this report that volcano has awakened, that was in sleep for last 600 years, then, well, one might ask what the hell is happening there, right? What should we expect? And obviously, I'm not a geologist or expert in volcanic activity or their earthquakes and so on, tectonic plates and that kind of stuff. But, well, if this smaller, I think if this smaller earthquakes, relatively small earthquakes, dozens and hundreds of earthquakes actually that are happening last number of days, if they did not reduce tension under the ground, then maybe relatively, maybe sometime in the future, some unprecedented scale of earthquake will take place. These smaller earthquakes probably are a good thing to loosen the tension under the ground, right? Because I guess the Saturn plates are pushing on each other, and that's how these quakes been generated. And if these small quakes wouldn't be enough to minimize the pressure, then logical outcome is going to be like massive earthquake again, and who knows what might happen after. I mean, this information is also interesting. I mean, this volcano was sleeping 600 years and now wake up eventually. Wow. Something is cooking there. Something is definitely cooking. We don't know what, but maybe something extraordinary is going to happen, or maybe not. I don't know. I will monitor the media here in Russia, by the way. Maybe experts in this field will share some information, and of course I will report about it in my updates. And dear friends, to end the news segment of this stream, let me give you, I mean, if our world did not had enough problems already, by the way, we have another problem. We, I mean, humanity, we allegedly have another problem which is coming from out of space. Yes. So Harvard professor names date of arrival of alien probe to Earth. This is headline, by the way, on Vzglyad newspaper. So interstellar object, 3I Atlas, which has an unusual rare trajectory and a diameter of about 20 kilometers, by the way. It's a massive stuff, seems like. Could reach Earth between November 21st and December 5th, 2025, this year, said Harvard professor Avi Loeb. Avi Loeb said that the interstellar object, which means, by the way, that this object came into our solar system from outside, right? So the interstellar object, 3I Atlas, discovered on July 1st, could pose a threat to Earth. Daily Mail reports. We should keep in mind, dear friends, that Daily Mail is a tabloid, right? But nevertheless, they are referring to Harvard professor. So, it worth our attention, I guess. So, according to the scientist, if it is not a natural body, but a spacecraft, it could carry a probe or even a weapon. Loeb notes that the object could reach Earth between November 21st and December 5th, 2025. The scientist points out that the trajectory of 3A Atlas is unusually aligned with the orbital plane of the inner planets, including Earth. And its movement against the direction of their solar system makes such a scenario extremely unlikely for a natural object. Probability is only 0.2%. So, I mean, that's a really small probability, like 0.2%, that natural body had such a strange orbit. Wow, that's quite something, isn't it? This professor does not rule out that the object could be preparing for an attack during its passage behind the sun in October, which in his words resembles a military ambush. It could come to save us or destroy us. We must be prepared for both options, Loeb said. He compares possible encounter with their alien technology to the appearance of modern bombers of unprepared territory. It could be just an unexpected and devastating. Loeb notes that the diameter of the object is about 19 kilometers, which makes it the largest of their known interstellar guests. If such objects were common, we would have seen millions of them by now, the professor believes. And share your take, dear friends, what you think. But in my personal opinion, this is just another, I don't know, comet, possibly, or asteroid with an unusual orbit. Okay, things happened. Maybe probability of natural object having such a strange object orbit is 0.2%, but there is such a probability, right? So therefore, I guess this is just some rock and ice, and that's about it, right? No alien probe, no alien starship or something like that. It's just a rock and ice. My personal take, most likely comet, because of for asteroid 20 kilometer is quite a lot, but could be just an asteroid too. But some natural stuff, by the way. No aliens there. My personal taker, because aliens my judgment is based on simple stuff, by the way. If there are highly developed alien civilizations out there somewhere, and obviously must be there, and numerous number of them, right? Probably they would have technology for interstellar travel that will allow them to reach speeds beyond our imagination, right? And they would not waste like months and years to reach from one solar system, from whichever solar system this object is coming from, to another solar system, ours in this case. I mean, why would aliens with their tremendous knowledge in technologies would waste years, potentially decades or hundreds of years to reach another solar system? It's sense. It makes no sense, right? So I think interstellar travel will be possible only when through interstellar travel, not just by probes, but actually with the massive vessels and humans on it and so on, will be possible, if ever, only when humanity will master new physics and also speeds that will be like many times over of light speed, which means that we have to master technology that will allow us to actually rip through space itself, because that's the only way you can go faster than light, isn't it? To bond the space, right? Or rip the space. But through space, nothing can go faster than light, right? And if you are not moving faster than light, 10, 20, 50 times faster than light, then I don't think interstellar travel even makes any sense. So it is what it is, right? And there are, by the way, already some theoretical works done to create engines that actually would allow sometime in the future humanity to bond the space, time, space itself, and And even though object itself would be stationary, space will move faster. Time space itself will move faster than light, because it does already, right? Because time space it expanding, right, and expanding faster than light, so it's possible. Einstein's general theory of relativity is not against that space itself can actually expand faster than light, and it does, and it is confirmed with observations, right? So anyways, this is a subject on which better if scientists will talk about, right? So yes, my take is that this is just some sort of either asteroid or comet, and no aliens, because it could not be aliens, man. Could not be aliens, right? Aliens would fly instantly like that if they want to render. If they are so advanced, then why would they even waste a second to contact us? I mean, what for? What they gonna learn from us? I mean, nothing. So they will just ignore our existence until at least we will reach first stage of civilization by Kardashev scale, right? Or second even. Anyways, dear friends, this is it for first type or second type of civilization by Kardashev scale, and that's it when it comes to new segment, dear friends. Hopefully you did find it informative and interesting. And Ein, was there any super chat or no? So there was no super chat, dear friends. There was no donations at this point, except what I already reported. By the way, there was from Barney, right? Ein. From Barney was $20 donation. From Nathan was $20 donation, and from Julie was a $20 donation. So $60 donations during this stream, fundraising stream and community chat. And well, let's continue, dear friends. I will scroll now through comments, and I will react on questions or the comments that are I spot with the capital Q or capital letters, which will indicate to me that you want this particular question or the topic to be highlighted. So let's scroll, dear friends. I remind you, if I may, that if you want to support her, you can use a PayPal, Boosty. You can subscribe to my Patreon page. Everything counts, dear friends. So you can subscribe on Patreon page or page on Boosty, and also you can use super chat feature on my Rumble channel. I'm streaming on both platforms simultaneously, so you can use super chat feature on Rumble to donate and highlight any question or the comment, or you can become premium subscriber there. Let's scroll now. I see no capital Q or capital letters before comments in the chat. Ань, вот, please. Все в порядке? What? Oh. Okay, I'm scrolling, dear friends, and see no See no questions. What? The
Там такое было, как кто-то Фрэнк или кто-то обозвал ее. Вот. Ну, я не знала это слово, она сама не знала значения этого слова. А с Питером Фурвайном у них просто переписка была, ее не устроила.
what the hell is going on? I mean, should I begin now blocking people here in the chat? Svetlana T34 is commenting that I leave this stream. I wish to enjoy it, but I'm greatly insulted by Peter Frowen, Don Zugar, Frank Blacker. They call her some names.
Frank Blake.
What the hell, guys? I mean,
Нет, Иван, послушай меня. Питер Фурвайн ни при чем. А у них была абсолютно обычная переписка. Это Фрэнк Блейк обозвал ее.
okay, block him.
Окей, ну, скажи, что это Питер Фурвайн ни при чем.
Okay, сейчас Anya, my wife, is saying that Peter was, had nothing to do with it. Frank Blacker used their unpleasant wording, and I will block him now. Or please find his nick and just block him straight away. My apologies, Svetlana, for this unfortunate incident. But I will ask dear friends, at least let's have a friendly communication, right?
Фурвайн говорил, что Россия это госплавительная страна, она говорит, что Россия не христианская страна, поэтому была перепалка, обычная переписка. Ну, Карл, как бы сам ничего страшного.
Please, let's be friendly. No, I mean, we might have different opinions about literally everything. We may agree or disagree, which is all good, by the way. Okay, but let's not insult each other, right? This is not too much to ask, I guess. What? So PayPal, okay. There was I will return to this question, dear friends. Now there was a donation on a PayPal from John. Thank you very much, John, for $10 donation. Comment is keep the faith, God will provide. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, John, for your support. I appreciate it. Truly grateful. Thank you. And dear friends, in terms of fundraising, we reached $70, right? From out of 200, that was a target. And always it is that is a target during these fundraising streams. And well, meanwhile, Stavros Gorgis is asking, how is Trump being viewed or tracked about on the Russian major talk shows? Well, Stavros, I cannot tell you how he been commented on or received on major talk shows, because I don't watch it. I don't watch TV, by the way, for many decades now. Very rarely, maybe, I watch some. If I go in a room and TV is on, there is some movie or something, I might spare like 5-10 minutes watching it, and that's it. I don't waste time on TV, and therefore I don't watch shows, talk shows, by the way. So I cannot give you an answer on that. But I guess there probably there are some people that are trying to somehow explain behavior of Trump, that he is under pressure of these groups and that groups and that kind of stuff, right? And there are other experts that would criticize Trump big time, as it is probably case in every other country, by the way. But because I don't watch talk shows, I don't watch TV, right? Which is a good thing in my personal opinion, because obviously propaganda exists not just in the West, by the way. Propaganda exists here also in Russia, right? And one of the main tools of propaganda, state propaganda, is TV. And if you watch too much TV, you might get influenced by it, right? Even if you are a journalist, by the way. if you're spending too much time watching all sorts of TV programs and news programs and talk shows, you might get influenced by it, or you might get indoctrinated in certain viewpoints, right? So therefore, I think it's better to ignore existence of TV completely. And if you want to receive information, just there is a press, right? That is much more free from propaganda, by the way, right? Press, publications, and alternative media. That's my source of information, and the community, by the way. Thank you for your questions, Taurus. And therefore, if you would ask me what is the line of propaganda of the Kremlin right now in regards to any topic, right? Middle East or Trump or, I don't know, South Korea, I would not be able to tell you because I have no idea. I don't watch TV. I don't know what they're talking about, which is yet again, to me personally, this is a good thing. Oh, there was a donation on the PayPal, dear friends. Let me highlight her. From thank you very much for NSPK 77. This is a nickname, by the way. Thank you very much for your $10 donation. Because you mentioned your nickname, I wouldn't mention your name then. I guess nickname is okay. Thank you very much, NSPK 77, for $10 donation. And the comment is greetings to you too. Thank you. And we reach 80 out of 200, right? Thank you very much, dear friends, for your support. And let's continue with the chat. Dear friends, as always, these capital Qs and capital letters will indicate to me that you want that particular question or the comment to be highlighted. It's hot, dear friends. And humidity is in such levels that just unbelievable, man. So I'm scrolling now, and community has exchange of opinions between each other, which is great, by the way. Not sorry if I missed your question, but seems like not that. Question from Nidish Kumar. Leman, do you know any world economy that does not use fiat currency right now? If BRICS currency is formed, who will have authority to mint currency? Do you know any world economy that does not use fiat currency right now? I don't know. I don't know, Nidish. And if BRICS currency is formed, then who will have authority to mint currency? I guess something like a central bank of the BRICS will be created in that case. Because I don't think, even though China is a dominant economy in the BRICS, I don't think BRICS member states would agree China to be in charge of this, right? So probably something like central bank of BRICS will be created. Don't know. But when it comes to any country that currently does not have a fiat currency, I don't know. Are such countries in existence? I don't really know. You know, but BRICS currency, yes, must be something like central bank of the BRICS. Don Zugar is commenting, yes, Levon, the US is controlled by the Zionists, but the Zionists have some influence in Russia as well, don't they? Otherwise, Putin would crush Israel. I think Zionists do have some influence here in Russia too, by the way. I have, at least indirect indicators of that, but I don't think Zionist influence is actually. I don't think Zionists actually are influencing Putin's policies. When you say otherwise Putin would crush Israel, you mean what? Russia would start a war against Israel alone? No, it's not works that way, isn't it? That's why I'm saying that the world community has to get together and first issue ultimatum to Israel to demilitarize, denazify, to withdraw from all the occupied territories and to pay compensations, right? If they disagree, then the world community should take action. And Russia would be part of this effort, right? But Russia to unilaterally get engaged in a war, I mean, how you think that would happen? I mean, this is not happening, right? And Zionists have nothing to do with that. Countries do not operate that way, isn't it? But influence of Zionists, yes, I mean, they have influence all over the world. They are mainly focused, obviously, on the collective West. First of all, US. But, I mean, we should keep in mind that, Zionism was born, one might argue, in UK, for example. And Israel is being called by many as a product of or creation of the Rothschilds, right? The Rothschild clan. The Rothschild clan takes its beginning there in UK, right? So they have influence all over the Western world, but elsewhere too, including here in Russia, by the way. After all, significant number of Russian billionaires, right, that run away from Russia, had connection with Israel, right? Had their Israeli citizenship even, I believe, and are living now in Israel, or used to live there. And a significant number of Russian billionaires that's still here in Russia or did not run nowhere. They also have certain connections with Israel. So influence is there, of course. No one can deny that. But I don't think that influence actually is on such a level that Putin's decision-making process is based on that. I don't believe in this difference. Yet again, personal opinion, you might disagree with me, but oh, goodness me, man. Something is. Maybe I have to end the live stream, dear friends, because it seems like in Moscow, in our flat, there was some emergency on upper floors, and water is pouring in through building now or something there. And we are in Vladikavkaz now on summer holidays, and we have to come up with some solution. By the way, I mean, I don't really want to be forced to fly to Moscow, because of it right now. But dear friends, if I may, I have to. I'm hearing now. My wife is talking to people that neighbors that called from Moscow. So, dear friends, I will end this stream on that, if I may. Things happened, isn't it? And let me once again thank you all for your attention. Many thanks to all the members of our community who donated during this fundraising stream. Many thanks to all of you, dear friends, for attention and support. Have a wonderful day and take care. My apologies that I have to end the stream earlier, but I just have to deal with that situation, dear friends. So thank you all and have a wonderful weekend, dear friends. See you tomorrow.